Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about complex sentences. In this presentation, I will tackle the types of sentences, and as we know, there are three types of complex sentences. We have noun clauses, adjectival clauses, adverbial clauses. For some people, they call it nominal clauses, relative clauses, and adverbial clauses. Basically, I will start by explaining the meaning of a clause, then the types of clauses, okay, and here we have dependent and independent clauses. Then we will move to compound sentences. After that, we'll talk about complex sentences where the focus of our presentation will be. And after that, I will talk about the types of complex sentences. Then in this presentation, we will be satisfied with explaining the meaning of noun clauses. With the noun clauses, I'll explain what's a noun clause, then the positions, the different positions that noun clauses can occupy, and finally I will end with the types of noun clauses, or what is called nominal clauses. Now, let's start with the explanation of a clause. As we know that a clause is the largest grammatical unit. Okay, this is the largest grammatical unit, and it might consist or it might contain either one or more clause. This gives me the idea that the clause is part of a sentence. Okay, and sometimes a sentence might consist of one or more clauses. Sorry. Fine. Then what's a clause? A clause is a part of a sentence, okay? And it has a subject and a predicate. Subject is a subject, as you know, and the predicate is a verb phrase. Every complete sentence consists of at least one or more clauses, as I have said earlier. If we look at the following three sentences, all these are one sentences, but they are different in what way? Let's see. For example, John bought a new car. This one has one sentence and one clause. Alright, it has one clause and it has a subject. This is John, the subject. Bought a new car is all the predicate. And this is called simple sentence. Okay, one clause, simple sentence. Here, one sentence, but two clauses. Let's see. John bought a new car, but he's using his old car. Here we have, this is the first clause, two clauses. It's still one sentence, but it has two clauses. He's using his old car. This is one clause, and this is the other clause. Okay, let's see the next one. Again, we have one sentence and two clauses, but this is called complex. He bought a new car because his wife needs it. The first clause is John bought a new car, and the second clause is his wife needs it. Because we'll talk about it, it's a subordinate conjunction. This one is different from the previous one, is that this is called complex sentence, and the previous one is called compound sentence. We'll see in more detail what's the difference between complex sentence and compound sentence. Now, the types of clauses. There are two types of clauses. One of them is called independent clause, or for some people they call it main clause. And the other one is called independent clause. Sorry, I said independent clause, which is the main clause, and the other one is dependent clause, which is the subordinate clause. In Arabic, independent اللي هي المستقلة، okay, والdependent اللي هي تعتمد which relies on another clause. Independent clause or the main clause, if I say it, briefly, I would say independent, يعني whatever comes into your mind, that independent, it relies on itself. It can stand alone without a need for a completion. Right, let's read my explanation here in this slide. An independent or main clause is a complete sentence. It contains subject and a verb. It consists of a subject. Minimally, the structure of independent clause is a subject and a verb, and expresses a complete thought. A complete thought in a context and meaning. In a way, if we look at this example, she walked. This is only subject, and this is the verb. And it can express a complete thought, a complete idea, without any need for more explanation or more elaboration. Right. Let's suppose that I have two sentences. Both of them are independent clauses. Okay? And I want to combine them together. Let's see in the next slide. Compound sentences. When I combine two main clauses using coordinated conjunction, I would form compound sentences. Right. As I say it again, I will say it again. When I combine two main clauses using coordinated conjunction, I would form compound sentences. What are these coordinated conjunctions? We have and, we have but, for, nor, or, yet, and so. If we look at the following examples, he bought a new car. Originally, he bought a new car, full stop. He is still using an old one. Here, you need to bear in mind that the conjunction that you use depends or relies on the meaning of the two sentences that you are trying to combine. For example, here I have the meaning of contrast. He bought a new car. It contrasts the other sentence. He is still using an old one. That's why we need to use but. In the next sentence, طبعا you need to bear in mind that you have to put a comma before the conjunction. The next sentence, she didn't cheat on the test. Full stop. Originally, they were two separate sentences. It was the wrong thing to do. Okay, now I need to combine them together because this is the result and this is the reason. I'm trying to combine them using for. She didn't cheat on the test, for it was the wrong thing to do. We don't forget the comma. For some writers, they delete the conjunction and they put colon instead. You can investigate this in more detail if you would like to. Now, again, this is the opposite order. She ran out of money. He had to stop playing poker. Okay, this is the reason and this is the result. They combine them using so. Another one, they got there early and they got really good seats. They combine them using and. Because we don't have neither reason nor contrast nor result, that's why we used and in combining these two sentences. Here, if you want to give two options, should we start the class now? Wait for another one to get here. Now we are having two options to do. That's why we used or in combining these two sentences. Okay, and the rest you can see them. They got there early and they got the really good seats, and the other one, we have never been to Asia, nor have we visited Africa. طبعا هنا we need to look carefully at nor. When we use nor, we have never been to Asia, nor have we. Look at the order. Let me highlight it in a different color. The order of the words, you see that the auxiliary precedes the subject. Nor have we visited Asia. You always need to swap the position of the auxiliary and the subject when you use nor. Okay? This is for the compound sentences. As I said, I won't go into the details of compound sentences because it's not that difficult to talk about. Complex sentence. Fine. Before going into the details of complex sentence, let's investigate what's the meaning of dependent clause. We talked earlier about independent clause. Now, dependent clause or subordinate clause, it is joined to an independent clause. It usually, if I want to explain it in a brief way, I would say dependent clause is a clause that needs a completion. It can't stand alone without a need for a completion. Fine. Let's say it is joined to an independent clause. They form a complex sentence. These dependent clauses often start with subordinating conjunction. The word that introduces dependent clause is called subordinating conjunction. And let's bear in mind that these dependent clauses always have subject and the verb. Briefly again, it needs independent clause to complete the idea. It starts with subordinated conjunction and it has subject and the verb. These are a list of some subordinating conjunctions that introduce the dependent clauses. Okay? This structure, as I said earlier, subordinate conjunction, subject, verb, but the thought remains incomplete. If we look at the following sentence, I was studying math when my dad arrived. This is the dependent clause. This is the subordinate conjunction, this is the subject, and this is the verb. If we cover I was studying math and we look at the meaning of the other part of the sentence, when my dad arrived, you see that this sentence needs something to complete the idea. That's why it needs an independent clause. Look carefully, it needs an independent clause to complete the meaning. Okay? These clauses are of three types: nominal clauses or noun clauses, adjectival clauses, and adverbial clauses. Why are they of three types? Because it depends. We gave them these names depending on their place or depending on their position in the sentence. Let's see. The first one is noun clauses. Okay, as we said earlier, it's a dependent clause. Okay, and it has a verb and a subject. Why do we call it noun clauses? Because it works as a noun. Noun clauses can be either the subject of the sentence or it can be the object of the sentence or the complement. Again, it is called noun clauses because it occupies the position of a noun. Why do we use noun clauses? We use noun clauses in order to name a person, a place, or a thing. Sometimes it's not sufficient to explain or to refer to that person or to that place or that thing using one word. Sometimes we need a group of words referring to that person or that thing. That's why we need to use a noun clause. Okay, noun clauses usually answer the question of who or what. Let's see in the following examples. I have been told, right, before completing the sentence, before completing reading the sentence, let's cover with our hand the bold type or the bold printing or the underlined part of the sentence. I have been told what? Okay, I have been told what? I've been told that the examination starts this week. In this case, we can see that this sentence answers what? The next sentence, who wins the tournament remains unknown. Okay, who remains unknown? The one who wins the tournament. Next, leaving the school without permission could earn a student a suspension. If we cover this part, what could earn a student suspension? It is the leaving the school without permission. In this case, it answers the question of what? Right, next one. Whoever arrives first is the winner. If we cover this part, is the winner. Who is the winner? Whoever arrives first. And the next applies, and the same applies to the last sentence. Now, as I said, that noun clause can occupy the position or different position in the sentence. When a noun clause begins a sentence, it functions as the subject of the sentence. Okay? It occupies the position of the subject. Let's look at the following sentences. Whatever happens to her is none of my business. Where is the verb? Let's look for the verb. The verb is. This is the main verb. Pay attention, students. It is not happens, the main verb here. As we said, happens, every noun phrase or every noun clause has a verb. But this is not the main verb of the sentence. Our main verb is. This is our main verb, alright? And if we look here, whatever happens to her, this is the subject of the sentence, and this is the verb, and this is the completion. Next sentence, when you choose to start the job, when you choose to start the job, will determine, this is the predicate, it consists of the auxiliary will and determine, will determine your salary. This is the main verb, determine, and this is auxiliary will. And when you choose to start the job, this is the subject, this is all the subject of our sentence. The subject is a noun clause. I hope it's clear for you. When you choose to start the job, this is the subject, will determine your salary. The next one, how you choose to settle the dispute, this is the subject, is entirely your responsibility, the main verb. So that's why you see that the noun clause, when it occupies the subject position, it comes before the main verb. Where we choose to reside must have uninterrupted electricity. And the next one is that she is clever is a fact beyond dispute. Okay? Next, sometimes a noun clause is an object. Right. Before I proceed, I want to remind you that there are three types of objects. We have direct object, which we studied earlier. The direct object, it receives the action that is given by the verb. Indirect object, it receives the direct object. And we have also object of a proposition, which comes after the proposition. Let's give sentences for each type of these noun clauses. Here, noun clause will occupy either the position of direct object, it will occupy the position of indirect object, or it can occupy the position of object of a proposition. First, if I look at my sentence, my dog will eat whatever food I give him. This position, my dog is the subject, will is the auxiliary, eat is the main verb, whatever food I give him, this is what it receives from the main verb eat. This is why you see that this position is the object, direct object position. The other sentence, direct object. Fine. The judges will award, if I cover this part, the judges will award the blue ribbon. Fine. You remember that we said that indirect object is the person who receives the action of the direct object. The blue ribbon, whom is it gonna be given? It's gonna be given to whichever painting they like the most. And this is the indirect object. And this noun clause in the position of indirect object. Next, we have noun clause or nominal clause in the position of object of a proposition. When it comes in the position of object of a proposition, it means it comes after a proposition. After a proposition يعني بعدها حرف الجر. I want to play with whoever is a good sport. The preposition here is with. Whoever is a good sport, this is the object of the preposition with. Now, the third place is noun clause as complement. When it comes as a complement restates or gives more information about another noun. This is what we say complement. We have two types, let's say here. Let's focus on the easy parts. There are two types of complement, either subject complement or object complement. When I say subject complement, it means that it gives more information about the subject. When I say object complement, it means that it gives more information about the object. And you need to remember that it follows verbs such as is, are, am, will be, was, and were. If you can see here, it is mostly the verb to be where the subject complement or object complement occur. Let's look at the following sentences. The winner will be whoever gets the most votes. This noun clause gives more information about whom. It gives more information about the winner. Okay, if we look at the sentence carefully, the winner will be whoever gets the most votes. It refers to the winner. It explains more. Who is the winner? The person who gets more votes. My next sentence. My hope is that everyone here becomes friends. What is my hope? Everyone here becomes friends. That's why it explains, it gives more information, more elaboration about my hope. That's why the noun clause here is complement, because it tells more about hope. Let's look at the other type of complement. It is called object complement. Object complement, let's see. She can present the thesis that she had completed. Fine. What is the object? The thesis in this sentence. That she had completed, it explains or elaborates or gives me more detail about her thesis. That's why that she had completed is the object complement here. And let's not forget, this is a noun clause. These are all noun clauses that come in the position of complement. And complement, as I said, is of two types: object complement and subject complement. Now we are talking about the types of noun clauses or nominal clauses. When I say types of noun clauses or nominal clauses, I mean what is the tool that introduces the noun clause. You remember when we did our exercise, sometimes the tool can be that, it can be WH word, it can be whatever, whichever, it can be if, it can be whether. And here these points, the first one, that clause. Noun clause can be introduced or it can begin with that. It's clear that you are up to the job. This noun clause is introduced by that. That you are hungry is obvious. She said that he was there. I want to remind you here that we use noun clauses in reported speech. If you remember when we talked about reported speech, we said that, look at my sentence, I'm saying we said that noun clauses can come in the reported speech. Okay, this is the first one when it is introduced by that. Next type. Indefinite relative pronouns. What is indefinite relative pronouns? These are the words whoever, whomever, whatever, whichever, wherever, and whenever. These words can introduce the noun clause. I will tell whoever will listen my frightened story. Whoever is responsible for this mess needs to clean it up. طبعا you need to focus again on the position of the noun clause here. Okay, this is the object position and this is the subject position. Whomever you hit accidentally deserves an apology. Next one, nominal ing clause. Now the clauses sometimes starts with a word which has ing. However, pay attention, students. This is not a verb. This is called gerund. Gerund, sometimes when you add ing to the verb, you are changing the verb into a noun. Okay? This is called verbal noun. Going home at this time is not advisable. And this noun clause is introduced with a gerund. Again, a gerund is a verb that has ing, but it's not a verb, it is noun. The other one, she loves baking cake. Look, I'm not saying she is baking cake. It's not an action that she is doing at the moment. She loves baking cake. This is a noun clause which is started by a nominal ing or by a gerund. Started by a gerund. The next one is the to infinitive clause. What do I mean by to infinitive? To plus a verb. To plus a verb in the base form. To go out like this. Look at this noun phrase. This noun phrase introduced by the infinitive. To plus a verb. To go out like this is not good. Her problem is to track a long distance. To trek a long distance يعني to walk or to cycle a long distance, whatever it is. He loves to travel. This is all the noun clause that we have here. It's a short one. Alright. The next one is WH clause. WH clause, these are called WH words, and sometimes noun clauses are introduced by these words. What he said was bad. I want to know why she is here. Look here, do you remember when we did our exercise? We didn't say, I want to know why is she here. No, it needs to be subject and then the verb. Why she is here. Nobody knows where they went. Okay? Where to sleep is their concern, etc. And the last type here is yes-no interrogative. Yes-no interrogative is achieved using either if and whether. These noun clauses answer either yes-no, they answer yes-no question. Okay, if you want your noun clause to answer a question, you would start it with either if or whether. Do you know if the banks are open? Should we ask whether we could sit down? Would you ask if that was her husband? And the last one, could they check whether the goods are safe? That's all for today. You can come back to my slides whenever you need. I'm explaining the noun clauses in details here. Okay, it might sound somehow difficult at the beginning, but with extra explanation, extra practice, exercise, some assignments, it will be even later easier. Thank you very much for your attention, and wait for my explanation for the relative clauses.